Hello, lovelies. Welcome to Horror 421, the podcast, with your host, your friendly small-town horror author, Charles Campbell. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the frights in this week's episode.
This episode of Horror 421, the podcast, is brought to you by Terror Tour. Music is a killer. Virginia Morgan is the lead singer of a band called the Valley Rats. They have embarked on a regional tour. There is excitement in the air, but there's also something else. One by one, members of the band receive ominous letters at each stop. At first, they think it is a harmless prank staged by a fan. Soon, they learn it is something much more sinister. The band will have to come together to play the show of their lives if there is any hope that they can survive the Terror Tour. Terror Tour can be found at valleyboypublications.com by clicking on the Shop tab. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Horror 421, the podcast. I am your host, small town horror author Charles Campbell. And today I have a very special guest. I kind of noticed her on a movie I watched recently and reached out to her and asked her if she would be on the show, and she certainly agreed. So her name is Natalie Terrazzino, and she starred in the movie Hunt Her, Kill Her. And we're going to talk about that. But Natalie, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Absolutely.
Awesome. We're excited to have you. So before we get into the movie and things like that, I want you to share with our listening audience a little bit about your background and how you got into horror. Because
Yeah,
horror's awesome. So I want to know your backstory a little bit.
that's a great question. So I started seriously acting in college. And then I think that the horror part of it all came really naturally, just a matter of the same way I've gotten most of my, bigger roles in my career have been just by, word of mouth and making the right contacts and friends and stuff like that. And I think horror suits me. I don't know. I think I already knew that before
Yeah.
I went in for jobs. So I guess you could say I could audition for those roles really confidently. I'm kind of a true crime fanatic. Podcast listener every day. Law and Order SVU, all the whole shebang, documentaries. So I'd say my shock level, my bar is pretty high. So I think I'm well suited for horror.
Well, that's cool. You brought up investigation stuff. So I did notice you were in an episode of Investigation Discovery, Murder
Yeah,
Calls,
that's
season
right.
2, episode 3. Why
That's
don't you
right.
talk a little bit about that? Because we have a lot of people that listen to Investigation Discovery and watch that on television. And I'm definitely going to check out the episode. I discovered this in my research, so I'm always watching that kind of stuff. How was that?
Absolutely. Oh, so that's actually one of my favorite things, because it was definitely the beginning of me getting like uh, I guess paid roles for lack of a better way of describing
Right.
that. But what had happened was I met a director, not through the college, but in those days, who had his own production company going as well as working for another production company that works for Investigation Discovery and all of that. And his name's Brian Perry. He's a really good friend of mine. Love him to death. And he basically we worked together on one of his projects that I contacted him about when he was just looking for an actor. We made friends, and on set one day, he basically called me and said, "Hey, I had this actress who called out, and we need someone to come on set today and do this role, and it's a speaking role. Can I send you the script, and can you be here in 2 hours?"
Wow.
And I was in the library studying for exams, and I was like, yes, I'd much rather do that. So yes, let's do that. And yeah, and the rest is history. I just came on and did the job, and ever since then, Brian's connected me with other people, and I've done a couple things with him as well. And that's yeah, I think that kind of leads into the horror about
Yeah,
the horror.
it does, and I thought it was very interesting when I was doing a little background on you. I'm definitely gonna go check that out because I love that shit. I watch that stuff all the time.
Oh yeah,
Um, so that brings me. We're gonna fast forward a little bit to this movie that I found on my Vudu subscription a couple weeks
Mhm.
ago called Hunt Her Killer. It was directed by Greg Swinson. Did I say his name properly?
Oh yeah.
Okay, and did I say your name properly?
Oh
Is it
yeah,
Terrazino?
absolutely.
Okay, awesome. So he directed it along with Ryan Thiessen. Is that
That's
correct?
right.
Okay. Well, Greg actually wrote the movie. So tell me the process of how you got connected with Greg. How you found your way to this awesome role, because I think you nailed this role. I think you did a great job, and we'll get into that a little more. But how did you get this job?
Absolutely. So that's actually a story in itself as well. I met them at the end of my college career, through common contacts, where they had someone working for them who I had worked with in school and all that kind of stuff. So basically, me and a group of other students had gotten cast in a different movie of theirs that they were trying to make happen. And it was about 5 or 6 of us, all as the main characters. Really riveting story based on a true story about a murder and teenage girls and all this kind of stuff. And we were all really into the movie, but something kind of fell apart where the script was definitely racy. It definitely took it there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so some people got a little scared, and nobody knew Ryan and Greg very well yet. And so it was just kind of unmarked territory and young actors who were all afraid to start their career off the wrong way or whatever that could be.
Yeah.
Whoever, who knows who to trust and stuff. And lucky for me, actually, I would say, that all did fall through. And about a year and a half later, I got an email from Ryan and Greg asking if I would audition for their next project as the main role, and that there was only one main character, and that they were really hoping I would be interested. And so, I did, obviously. And
Oh yeah.
I mean, phew, man, I feel lucky that I did that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah, I do. I mean, you killed it. So we'll get into the movie a little bit. And for my listeners, we may have some light spoilers. So if you start this podcast and you need to go see this movie, I'd rather you see the movie before you listen to this podcast. So here's the spot right here where you can hit stop, go watch the movie, and come back, because I want to have a real conversation with Natalie, and it may involve spoilers. I'm not going to go out of my way to spoil the film, but I want her to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
Uh, so with that out of the way, I turned it on. I watched it. I thought it was a tight little thriller, and it had a very simple plot, but it was very effective. So I want you to dig into the story a little bit of the character that you played, Karen, uh, which, I'm going to describe it a little bit to the audience. Karen is a single mother, recently divorced. She's trying to raise a kid on her own. She has a good friend babysitting for her while she is on her very first day on the job at a factory. I'm assuming it's a factory. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah,
Um, but she's working at a factory, doing some night cleanup, and she's the only person there, or so she thought. So, if you want to kind of dig into a little bit about Karen's character and maybe a little bit of her backstory, I'm very interested in that, because I thought she was very compelling.
oh yeah, no. I almost wish that that was one thing that I think I heard from some other people, and that we talked amongst ourselves, that we almost wish we could have fleshed her character out a little bit more. But of course,
Yeah,
to keep that it's a hard, back and forth to keep that action moving and stuff like that. So, but yeah, no. Karen's character definitely, even though we don't necessarily have a lot in common, besides maybe the age range, um, I think, or, environmentally, at least, we don't
yeah,
have a ton in common. Um, I was able to understand her immediately, was just that she's down on her luck and she's doing her best. And for some reason, the world decided to take a shit right,
yeah, oh
like
yeah,
where she was trying to figure everything out. And it uh something definitely, like how I said, I'm always into true crime and stuff like that. And
right,
there is nothing more inspiring than the true stories of people, overcoming situations like this, where maybe they were attacked or kidnapped and they prevailed,
Yeah.
and real people can be that sometimes. It can happen. So,
Well, exactly. Well, in slasher films, we have, in the industry, and you've heard it 1,000 times, we always love our final girls.
oh
Well,
yeah,
Natalie was our only girl. There was no
that's
final
right.
girl. She was a final girl from the opening scene, and her character was treated like garbage as soon as she walked in the door. The guy that and I forget the character's name, the older gentleman.
Oh
Um,
yes, of course.
yeah, but he was kind of an asshole, and then she was surrounded by assholes, and then as the movie progressed, there is a thread through the movie where you can see, even in a tight under 90-minute film, and I agree with her, with Natalie, when she says we'd like to see a little more of the character development, and that's completely okay. I have a beagle here; he does the same thing. Um, but you could tell from the conversations she was having, talking to her daughter, she was a loving mother, and she was relying on someone to watch her kid while she was trying to make a living, and you could see that really kind of hurt her, that she had to rely on someone else to take care of her only child while she was gone. So the character development was there if you read between the lines as you watched the film. So, can you talk about that a little bit? That mother daughter dynamic that you felt. I mean, that was a cool kid that played your daughter. I don't know
Oh
what her
yeah,
name is, but yeah, she did a great job. So, what was the dynamic between you and her and playing a mother?
sure. So that part, that's one of the things that I think of when I think of the big parts of Karen that I don't have in common with her. Obviously, I'm not a
Right.
mother, and so I'm definitely nowhere near that quite yet. And having to get in that headspace, honestly, it it was very pretty easy for me, mainly because I think because I'm very close with my family, with my own family, with my parents, and I have a younger sister. This is actually quite hilarious. So my sister and I, we have the same parents, but we're about 15 and a half years apart. So
Oh
I've
wow.
always been like an aunt, almost like a sister, of course, but like an aunt as well, like an older.
Gotcha.
We don't fight, we don't have petty arguments and stuff. It's not a normal sibling relationship.
Yeah, she more looks up to you, probably.
Right, I think
Yeah.
so. I try to be a good example, so
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean? But yeah, no, exactly. And with that, her name is Lily, my sister's name.
Oh
And
wow.
so is the daughter on in our movie. And so, or my daughter in our movie. And so being attached to a little girl named Lily wasn't that hard. It was
Yeah.
actually pretty easy for me to get in that place.
Well, you did a great job, and she did a great job. So I want to talk about some of the tense moments in that film. And can you tell me about maybe some of the physical challenges that you had, because that was a demanding role, and you did a lot of shit in that movie.
Whew.
And I didn't see any stunt work. I didn't see any doubles. I mean, the shots were close up. Now you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you had anybody stepping in for some of that stuff, but it didn't look like it.
No, I will say I'm might be the only character with no fake shim. I might be
No.
the only one because everybody else pretty much every now and then we have to do a little fill in, especially if it's a character with a mask or something.
Yeah.
You plug in a little hand or a leg here or there. But I did all my own stunts, which I was happy to do it. That's definitely a part of who I am. Um, the physical part is something I get excited about. Actually, the the kind of those stunts and that kind of stuff. I'm full speed ahead. Like I'll express if I'm worried, if I'm nervous, if I think that if there's something I don't think I should maybe be doing. But at the
Right.
same time, you kind of have to hold me back a little bit because I'm usually willing to try just about
Oh,
anything.
that stuff was so physical. I loved it. I loved it. And I wouldn't want to fight you. He beat my ass easy. But yeah, you were putting it to him. And again, for those that haven't seen the film, stop this podcast and go watch it, because I'm going to talk about some of these fight scenes because they were pretty fucking cool. I want you to walk me through the bathroom scene. That was hilarious to me. It was funny when you're getting the guy with the plunger and if you could set that up for the audience and kind of walk through how you guys filmed that, because that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie as far as kills go.
that might have been one of my all-time favorite scenes to film in the movie, as well as maybe one of my favorite fights, because not only was it a joy to film, it was a lot of fun and quite a project, but it also, created something so fun. So the other actor, Hunter, who plays the villain in that in
The
that
un- the
he
unfortunate film.
yes, he was a really young actor, and but was just completely gung ho, ready to go, ready, like we were just laughing and joking and having a good time, and he knew he was gonna get waterboarded, like no problem, and, it's so funny. We actually there's a blooper take of him saying, "Oh well, what's in the jug," and Ryan was like, blue Gatorade, or blue, no, blue Kool-Aid. And he goes, "Oh, well, I'm going to love this. I drink that all day at home. I make that every day." And Ryan says, "You are not going to like it after this."
Oh, nice.
But it was so much fun. We actually broke the toilet.
I
Um,
believe it.
that happened. We fully broke. I mean, truly, it was a great shame that we didn't have we weren't rolling, because we were doing like a quick just rehearsal right before we shot, right before action, and we went, and he falls back on the toilet, right, and he's holding the knife here, and the top of the toilet gets pushed right off and hits the base of the toilet, cracks it open, water's just gushing out onto the floor. We were like, "Oh, I guess we're gonna take 5." We're like, "Oh shit."
I'm gonna tell you something. That's one of the most unique kill scenes I've seen in any movie, and I've watched a lot of fucking horror movies. But you killed a
Hey, that's a
guy
big compliment. Absolutely.
with a freaking plunger.
Everybody loves the plunger.
I,
That's
l-
hearing that in the theater, hearing everybody react to the plunger. It's perfect.
oh, it was beautiful, and when he's little kicking his leg, and then you're like hitting the plunger. It's like you're saying, "Die already, man."
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Oh man. Well, I'm sure it was a lot of fun to film this movie. And before I get into any more scenes or anything, do you have any stories you'd like to share with the audience? Anything you shared a couple things that were funny, but any unexpected things happen while you were filming, or is there anything that sticks out in your brain from this movie as you were filming it?
Oh man. Well, it's hard to pick. There's so
Oh,
many
I'll bet.
things. Um, well,
And if there's not, we can come back to it. You can
well,
think about it a little
not
bit.
even. Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm sure it'll just come to me as well. 'Cause it's almost like there's so many things that it's almost hard to say what is what's notable. We were just always covered in blood. We were always truly. I will say something that's unique about this that people in production will like, or I think will think is interesting. There were 4 of us on set 85% of the time
Hmm.
only. It was
Wow.
me, our makeup artist, Caitlin, who really truly is more than a makeup artist by the end. She got a couple more credits, I believe, in there somewhere. And then Ryan and Greg, meaning that they did all of the lighting between shots, they did all of the sound, they did all of the camera work, they did everything. Sometimes, most of the time I was not, I was either in makeup or waiting between, shots, or maybe they wanted me to think about a certain thing before we transitioned. But, um, you know, we did that alone. It was just the 4 of us. And,
Wow.
that was a big part of it for sure.
Well, that's a lot, and I watch a lot of independent horror. Things that don't go to theaters. I go to a lot of horror conventions, so I don't know if you've had an opportunity to start hitting those. But now with this film, I'm sure you'll get an opportunity to go to some of those. I'm a small town horror author, so I go and peddle my
Yeah.
books and that kind of thing. But yeah, so I see a lot of indie films, and for you to say there were just 4 of you most of the time, that's pretty impressive. That is pretty impressive.
Yeah, you
So
don't really think about it till after, and you're like, "Holy shit! Like, did
yeah.
we did that?" And other people
You
normally have a lot more people.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. And even those smaller indie horror films, a lot of those do cross training and wear different hats, but it's usually more than 4.
Yeah.
It's usually more than 4. And I interviewed David at Howard Thornton last year
Yeah.
before Terrifier 2 came out. And he was telling me, how much they were doing. It was kind of the same thing. Damien had this hat on, and Damien was doing makeup, and Damien was directing.
Yeah.
And so, and that's, and Terrifier 2 was an indie film as well, but you see what it turned into. And I'm hoping something like that happens with this film because it's really well made and it's really good. Um, so I want to go back to the horror element a little bit. So, did you have any influences in horror when you were growing up? Were there particular movies that you liked, or are there books you like to read, or is it just came at you, out of the blue, out of college? What was your history in horror? Is what I'm trying to get at.
Totally. Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is, and I think he'll appreciate this, is my dad. My dad
Okay,
is horror, comic book, rock and roll, all the way through 80s kid or 70s born, 80s kid, like that's who he is. And I had no shortage of music, horror movies, Stephen King novels. He's also a writer. Funny enough. He's an author as well.
nice.
So that probably helps me get the big storyline. You can imagine even just sitting at the table with someone who loves horror, you're going to talk about it and you're going to enjoy it. And I was raised around it. So it's funny. He always likes to joke about the fact that when I was born, or when I was probably a year old, I was in the bouncer next to him while he was playing first person shooters on like
Oh,
PlayStation 1, back in the day. I was happy to be
nice,
is
nice.
also, I'm a baby and a bouncer, happy to watch the horror. Yeah.
Well, your dad and me, we're probably close in age. I was born in 1969, so I grew up
Oh
a
yeah.
horror kid, and I've got a daughter. She'll be 28 this year, so you're probably similar in age. So we're
Yeah.
probably,
Yeah, about to be 26.
yeah, yeah. So you and my dad, we're in the same. Uh, your dad and me are in the same generation, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, I grew up the same way. Loved horror movies, loved writing, and my daughter was my ride or die horror movies when she lived at home. So her
You
favorites
know
were Paranormal
exactly.
Activity. Oh yeah, yeah. She loved the Paranormal Activity movies. But all that is super cool. Is there anyone you're reading right now? Are you a reader at all? Just curious.
Oh, a little bit. Or I used to be more so. I think I've just been badly disciplined in terms of my reading lately. I moved to Atlanta this past year, so it's just been kind of a washing machine of life. But yes, loving ATL 100%. Um,
Well, I'm a Falcons fan, so I go there quite a bit during the football season. I get
oh yeah,
disappointed a lot.
super cool.
Full
I
of
really want to
disappointment.
go to a Braves game one day.
Yeah, the Braves. Yeah, at least they win. My fucking Falcons are sorry. They are sorry. But I
Poor
got to ride
Falcon.
or die with them. Yeah. If you go to a Falcons game, you probably get tickets pretty cheap. So there's
Nice.
that. Oh man. Okay, well we'll jump back to Hunt Her Killer.
Yeah.
So outside the toilet plunger scene, is there another scene that sticks out in your head that is maybe one of your favorites? Now I like the final battle in the movie, and maybe I don't want to go into that super lot, but like I told everybody, go watch the movie before you listen to this podcast. If you don't do that, then you're not listening to me. But is there another fight scene? There's another one that sticks out in my head, but I want to see what you have, what you think as far as battles between you and the bad guys.
So I know everyone loves the guy down the stairs, which that's not as big of I think a fight scene. That's more of a chase, but
Yeah,
everyone loves that one. And I honestly, I could watch that one 100 times. Which the bloopers for that one, by the way, are also premium. Do you know how many times it takes to throw a fake body down the stairs to get the right shot? A
I
lot of
have no idea.
It is like a lot. It's like how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. A
Oh
lot.
wow, that's
It's like a
crazy.
lot. But I will say, in terms of like my favorite to watch, would definitely be. I think I have to agree with you. I'm stuck on the final scene, but that's of course the biggest envelopment for Karen. I
Yeah,
like to see I like to see Karen make that final switch,
Yeah.
that final breaking point. I think you might know kind of the moments I'm referring
Oh
to.
yeah, I do. I
Kind of
do.
has to choose if what she's gonna do here. Is she gonna bow down or go all the way?
Yeah.
And that's a big deal for me because that made Karen Karen. That made her live past the name Karen,
Oh
past
yeah.
all the things. Like, yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, when you first got the smock or the vest or whatever you want to call it at the beginning, and it had Karen on it, and he called you Kathy, I was like, did they just put the wrong name on the vest? Is she really Kathy? But then it, it said you were Karen, and I was like, okay, it's intentional. She's Karen. All right.
She's Karen. Yeah.
But
uh,
yeah, man, that was a great final battle, is what I'll say, and I enjoyed every minute of it, and it showed what a fighter Karen truly was, because the movie is about to piss me off because I thought it was thought it was going to go somewhere, and I was just going to turn the damn TV off and say fuck this movie, but
but Karen does probably
yeah,
what you wanted her to do.
yeah, she did what I wanted her to do. I was like, come on, man, you can't let this jackass do this after all of this. But anyway, without spoiling too much, again, go watch the movie, everybody. Watch the movie. Um, so what are some of your influences in acting? You've come up and you're a really good actor. I mean, I
Thank
don't know
you.
if this is your first feature. That's the first one that I see in your list, but it looks like you've been doing it a while. So how did you come up in acting, and how were you trained, and what got you ready for this role?
Yeah, definitely. So I do have a degree from University of Tennessee.
Awesome.
I It's in acting and theater performance, essentially, bachelor's. And there I learned truly, I learned what I needed, what I was missing to get out there and act. I got to refine some skills, and it was all focused on theater, which I think was really great for me. I needed that live pressure. I needed the technical skills, because I had the chutzpah that I had. What I needed was some rounding out, and maybe a little confidence and a little knowledge, and guidance. And so I definitely got that there. Their theater program is fantastic, and they have some of the best professors. I can say that they helped me get where I am 100%. And then past that, in terms of getting to where I am now, I think it's been a lot of just being super appreciative of what comes and trying to maintain good relationships with the right people and stuff like that, and not trying to convince anybody you're a good actor. Just do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I could see that come through on the screen. So I could see you playing the badass that you were in this movie, or I could see you playing someone geez, more a more sensitive and emotional role. Well, this was, but maybe something more in the drama realm. I mean, I could see you run the gamut and you were funny too. So I think you could play anything.
Thank you.
I like to see you in different genres. I think you'd be a great action uh, action star, really. I mean, because you're physical and you have the gifts to do that kind of thing. But I can see, and you can draw emotion out of other people. So, yeah, I think you're well rounded, and I'm very interested in seeing what you're coming up with next, whether it's horror or whatever. Um, so, with that being said, what do you have coming down the pipeline? Is there anything you're working on now, or are you just kind of letting this kind of marinate and ride the wave? What is Natalie working on now? What can we expect from you?
Totally. So that's a good question too. I definitely don't have anything that I'm right in the middle of working on. Right now, I'm definitely in a more of a marinating on the movie and kind of trying to enjoy and learn. I think with this process, it's only just begun, if that makes sense. You finish
Hmm.
filming, and then the movie's in the other world for another 2 years, and then
Right.
now things start happening, the festivals, and then the theater release and everything. And so with that, I was kind of just doing little jobs and working on moving to Atlanta was really like my big goal right after I finished filming the movie, which we filmed that movie truly in a washing machine of time, because it took us 7 months, which was longer than we had originally planned, but then we decided to take our time.
Right.
And what happened was we actually were still filming when quarantine hit.
Oh
And
yeah.
we were able to say, well, there's 4 of us. We can be safe. We can manage this to be safe. And we were able to just finish off. And there, truly, it actually kind of helped us because it enabled the factory to close and us to be able to just have free roam. So
Oh,
that's really, I mean, oh, and I got diagnosed with, I have severe sleep apnea, which I get from my dad, and we don't sleep. And I didn't know that till the middle of that movie. So we were in like a,
oh
we were
wow.
in a whole little washing machine. And then coming out of that silence, you know what I mean? Just
Right.
now the movie's done, it's being worked on. And now we're back in now this is not so much of a washing machine. This is fun. This is some good, the movie theater release and the premiere was so much fun. Oh my gosh. Like I can't even say how amazing that was.
Well, I really wish I would have saw it in theaters. It did play at my local theater, and for whatever reason, probably podcasts or books or whatever, I didn't go. And I love going to see indie horror in theaters when I can. And I saw the promo for it, and then I saw it hit Voodoo. I said, I didn't see it in the theater. Let me go ahead and plunk my money down and buy this thing. So I bought it and watched it, and I was glad I did. You brought it to the factory. Where was that filmed? So that's an actual factory. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, actual working factory at the time. A woodworking factory. They made furniture, so it had a bunch of scary tools, and it was huge. This factory. The first time I pulled up to the factory, I did tell my boyfriend, "Hey, if I don't text you in 30 minutes, this might not be an audition. So go ahead and like let me know. Keep an eye on me, because it was about an hour away from where I was living. It was in Morristown, Tennessee, in
Oh
what
wow.
some might call the boonies." And it was actually the same place where the original Evil Dead cabin was.
Nice.
Yeah, that's actually so that's a little Easter egg that you would probably appreciate. The brick in our movie, our brick,
Yeah.
the one with the message, the one
Oh
in the
yeah.
box, that's from the original Evil Dead house before
Get
they
the fuck
demolished
out
it.
of here. Are you serious?
Where to God, it is. So Ryan and Greg lived there, most of their lives. They were teenagers when the Evil Dead house was still there, but not, was still kind of in shambles. They went and they took one or two souvenirs, and it's a little happy Easter egg that's in our movie.
Oh, that is cool. There you go, people. There's an exclusive. Huh? That's
Absolutely.
pretty awesome. I'm a big Evil Dead fan. I've saw Evil Dead Rise twice, and I just posted a review on it today. I don't know if you've seen it yet,
Oh
but
no, we want to go see it, so no spoilers.
yeah, no spoilers. It's so good. It's so good. But I like the 2013 version too. I thought it was really good. I don't know if you've ever seen that one, but
Definitely.
thought it was great. Love Jane Levy. Been trying
Oh
to get
yeah,
her on the podcast, but she's elusive. It's hard
I'm
to get
sure
her.
that's she might be a little more,
Yeah,
full
she's a
schedule.
little bit she's a little busy,
That's
and I've
okay.
definitely reached out to the two leads for Evil Dead Rise.
Oh yeah.
Just on Instagram. But yeah, you're gonna love that movie. I love the way they took the setting out of the woods and put it into a high rise apartment complex, and the way Lee Cronin did it was perfect. Loved
Oh,
it.
that's so good to hear. I'm excited
Loved
now.
it.
Okay. Not that I wasn't, but that's
Oh
yeah,
yeah. It's and I'm a longtime Evil Dead fan. That's one of the first movies that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. So the first one. But
that's awesome.
I digress. So let's get back to Greg a little bit. How did you meet Greg? And he's a pretty good writer from writing this story, the
Oh yeah.
screenplay. I mean, it's a straight, tight story. It was under 90 minutes of the movie. But how was it working with Greg? And what can you tell the audience about him? It looks like he may be, have a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah. So working with Greg and Ryan really was
Oh yeah, I didn't mean to miss Ryan, but
no,
yeah,
not at all, not at all. It's truly it's because our work was only the 4 of us, it was super personal and we all
yeah,
got to hang out and bond, and so I can very much say, that we spent hours and hours and hours of time and doing this work together. And I mean, I couldn't have asked for better writer and director team to really like what I didn't necessarily anticipate was how much they were going to really sincerely care and actively try to make sure that my needs were always met, even if it was like above and beyond, even if I almost felt like, oh guys, thank you. Like
Right.
like you don't have to go get me special food, or you don't have to go do this or do whatever. They were always so gracious, so generous, so kind, so patient. Anything I needed in terms of while we were filming, they wanted to cater to my space, to my needs in terms of being able to perform. They knew that that I had to kind of carry the weight of the most of performance most of the time,
Right.
that it was just me. And I think that they recognized that. And there was just a lot of mutual respect that I think allowed us to really develop a friendship. I feel like yes, there were days where you work late and then you're a little done and you guys are all like, okay, can we shoot this last shot? Can we do this? Can we just do this? Like, are we done?
Get
And then
it
there's
done.
the
Yeah.
days where, man, you're laughing and you're like, oh God, are we done already? Geez, we should keep going, like, but I couldn't have asked for a better team, truly. And that's also the thing, is that I think the relationship was so good that communication was fantastic, and we just didn't have any issues with that. If they had notes for me, it was easy to take, and if I had to tell them that I needed something, it was no problem.
Well, that's awesome. Tell me about when you first got that script and read it for the first time and knew that you got the role. How did you feel? Like, walk me through that a little bit.
Well, it was funny. They actually told me that. So I was nervous. I auditioned. I was like, oh man, I think I want this. I want to do this, and then they told me that I got it. And I don't remember exactly when, but they let me know. They were like, hey, we didn't tell you this right away, but at first you were the only person we asked. And so when you didn't answer like the next day, we were starting to get a little worried. and,
Oh,
and
wow.
I was truly, that was the biggest compliment they could have given me, that I had no idea. I was nervous giving them my audition. I'm thinking that, of
Yeah.
course, they have 10 other people that they're asking. But they had come to me first. And I had no idea how that I had that. I had no idea.
Oh,
Um,
well.
but yeah, no, they,
Well, they definitely made the right choice. So, uh, after you got the part, did they give you the entire script? Is that how it works? I'm not sure on the actor side,
oh
how
yeah.
things work.
Yeah. Once they basically send you, a copy of the script. I think I maybe got the full copy after I officially agreed to be a part of the project. It may have been actually before, because I think I probably asked. I actually can't remember. It's been quite a few
Yeah.
years now. But I think I asked them probably if I could just see the script or know the level of content. And what's funny is that I didn't have any trust issues with them from the last situation we had, so I really wasn't that worried.
Right.
And I was also a little bit more confident as an actress, enough to carry my own and feel like if I wanted to say no or exit a contract, that I would. And
Right.
so I just kind of went in fully confident. And they gave me the script, and it was never an issue. There was never anything in the script that was an issue. I know I had questions about stunt work and things like safety and stuff like that. But once we got to work, it was just clear that we were just going to work this out. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that's good to know. So I hope you get a ton more script offers. I mean, you're really good, and I'm going to keep telling you you're talented because you are. Um, so what can you tell me about? I want to know a little bit about the distributors of this film, if you know anything about them. Welcome Villain Films. what can you tell me about that distribution group? Because now I'm interested. I kind of want to see what else they have out there.
Yeah, so I know, I don't know a ton. All I know is that we're one of their first features that they've picked up. They're a new company.
Okay.
I believe that they are formed by two guys that were already working in the business and decided to form their own. And so we're just kind of that new extension. And yeah, and so we're in the first release of their first round of movies. They've got a couple others, Malum. I don't know the names off the top of my head, but man, they look good actually.
Oh, Malum. Is that the remake of The Last Shift, or am I thinking of something else?
I think here you'll recognize it if I
I think if it's the remake of The Last Shift, that's pretty cool.
have you seen that?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I'll definitely go take another closer look at that. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, they've got
Oh wow, yeah.
going on, right? Yeah, lots of great
No,
special effects. It looks like it might be just a little bit bigger budget maybe than we were.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. That's
absolutely,
I think that's the movie I'm thinking about. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's really cool. And the production company is Trauma One Entertainment. So I just
yes.
wanted to shout out the folks that were involved in distributing the movie and the director and the writer, because everyone deserves a shout out. So, is there anyone that comes to mind when you're making the movie? Any person that stands out that kind of helped you along the way as you were making the film? Just
Oh
curious.
man. Yeah, actually, our makeup artist, Caitlin, we were attached at the hip, not only because of literally we were stuck in blood, but also, I mean, she would have to apply all the makeup, do my hair, all that kind of stuff. So we were together every day for lots of time, but she stayed on set the whole time. Anytime we were filming, she was there always. And she was there whether it was to help move, furniture or hold a light or hold sound, even if it had to be. She was there to lend a helping hand. Even or just me and her to just kind of hang out. If I needed somebody, we were just kind of temporary best friends on that set.
Oh,
And
nice. Was she involved at all in any of the blood and guts and gore, the parts of that were in the film?
oh,
Did
she's
she have her
all of
hands
it.
in that?
She's
She's
all of it.
all of
That's
it.
actually why I think she really, really deserves also a shout out. Is not only did she go above and beyond her own job that she was paid to do, but she did her job amazing. She did all of the blood and guts and gore. She made her own contraptions to spew blood, to pump blood. She did all of that. She made fake wounds.
Yeah,
She
Karen had
did
a couple
everything.
nasty wounds. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she
So
did the
so that
leg
was all her.
wound, the belly wound, the blood coming out. She did everything. I mean, absolutely. Sweat. I had to sweat a lot. That's all not natural sweat. That's a lot of water and baby oil that gets sprayed
Oh,
on.
it looked
So
real.
that is, yes. There's actually quite a blooper reel somewhere of me getting sprayed with baby oil in the face just a
Oh,
hundred
wow.
times.
So there's a blooper reel out there. Do you know anything about the production of possible DVDs, Blu-rays, anything like that coming out?
Yeah, so I believe that. So we just did our digital platform release for Rent, obviously, which and then we're hoping to work our way into streaming is the next step. And then really, I've heard that they're toying with the idea of a physical release, and because of that, we do have a blooper reel and a commentary reel that's prepared. So hopefully that will all come together soon.
That's awesome. I hope it does come together because I'm a big physical media guy. I'm staring at a shit ton of DVDs right now. I love collecting those, and I love watching all the behind the scenes stuff. That's just me. And streaming is fine. I mean, I stream a lot, watch Netflix and all that stuff, but love getting a physical copy of something and
Totally.
get all the cool extras. So now that you've done this movie and you live in Atlanta, I can tell you every February, and I don't know if you've looked at the schedules of some of the conventions or if you put your toes in the water out there. There's a lot of opportunities there, especially for horror folks, to go to those conventions and meet the fans and sign DVDs and sign pictures and all that kind of stuff. Do you have any aspirations to do any of that kind of thing in the
Yeah,
near future?
that's actually it's fun that you mentioned that. I'm doing a convention in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, in their convention center on May 13th. And me and JC Oakley, the one who plays Danny in the movie, will both be there at a table. Yeah,
Cool. Nice, nice.
absolutely.
Well, those are fun. So I don't know how many of those you've been to, but you live in Atlanta. Days of the Dead comes to Atlanta every end of January, early February,
Oh
and
man.
it's always a blast. It's always a blast. I'm a vendor. I'm not a movie producer or an actor, but I do sign my independent horror books. So I got to buy a table. But you guys who are in the spotlight, I don't know how it works for the actors, but it's pretty sweet. So you get your own table and you get to meet the fans and sign autographs and meet other celebrities and kind of hang out with some of the big names in horror. And this past February, they should have just called it the Terrifier 2 convention because it had a shit ton of Terrifier 2 actors. And the Days of the Dead sweatshirt had Art the Clown and the Pale Girl on the front with the Days of the Dead
Oh,
branding. So I mean, they kicked some pretty big names out of that center room just to accommodate all the Terrifier people. So, yeah, those conventions are amazing, and I definitely would love to see you at one. I'll
that'd be
come see you
awesome.
in Atlanta if you're there,
Yeah.
because I do that. I do that one every single year. Me and my best friend, he's also a writer. But I digress. I don't know if you visited any of the conventions before, just as a fan. Have you seen them?
I have I'm pretty sure I went to, yeah, it was God, what was it called? Fanboy one year. That was in Knoxville. But that was the only time I actually went to the conventions. I've always known about them and then just never
Yeah.
attended. But now, especially that, I had this one invitation, and now that I'm looking into trying to do it more, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you can definitely, depends on where you're at in life or whatever, but you can definitely travel the country. I mean, I've got a couple good friends. That's pretty much all they do full time is those conventions.
Oh,
But
that's
I
awesome.
have a day job, so I go to one or two a year, and
Totally.
but they're fun, man. They're fun. You get to they screen movies. You get to see all kinds of indie stuff. I buy a bunch of DVDs there from independent filmmakers. So that's where I discovered The Barn. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but The Barn and The Barn Two. Go check those out if you
Okay.
haven't.
No, I haven't seen them.
Great Halloween movies. They were directed by Justin Seaman, and I just had recorded an episode with him. And they're a pretty big deal in the indie horror world. They're on. I think you can stream them on Shutter or Amazon Prime or somewhere. But they're great films. But so we're getting close to the end of the podcast. But what I want to do is give you some time to kind of talk about anything you want to talk about, where the folks can find you,
Yeah.
where your social media is. If there's any links you want to share, I'll definitely put them in the notes of the podcast. But I'm going to be quiet and let you talk to the audience for just a couple minutes.
Sure. Well, hey everyone. I just want to tell you to check out Hunter Killer if you haven't already. We, worked really hard to try and give you a fun thriller that I think you're gonna love. So please go check out Karen on Hunter Killer. That'll be me. Also, of course, I do have Instagram and IMDb. So, if you want to contact me for business reasons or just want to give me a follow and send me a message and say hello, I'm at Nat Chris, NATCHRIS underscore TEE on Instagram. And yeah, that's about it. Natalie Terrazzino on IMDb. So there's probably not too many more with that last name. You'll probably find me.
Well, I'm glad I didn't butcher it when I said it. I
No,
thought I
no,
said it
no.
correctly. Awesome. Well, I'm Charles Campbell. I'm a small town horror author. You can find me at valleyboypublications.com, Charles Campbell author on Instagram. We do have a Horror 421 the podcast Facebook page, so you can find us there. If you're into horror, if you're a director, an actor, or just someone who wants to shoot the shit about horror, send me a message and maybe we can get you on the show. And I really thank Natalie for coming on today. You were amazing, and I love your work, and I want to see a lot more of you. I want you to get too big to do my podcast, so that will be awesome.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I'll be begging you to do my podcast. Like, hey, you remember me?
Hey, I'm
From
the one who will come back. You'd be surprised.
remember me 2 years ago? And now you're in these big horror movies, but yeah, no, you're awesome, and I really appreciate you coming on. So, you guys, until next time, I'll see you on Horror 421 the podcast, and thank you once again, Natalie.
Thanks, Charles.
All right, bye.
We hope you had a horrific time, lovelies. Thank you for tuning in to Horror 421, the podcast. Be sure to like us on YouTube and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.